Yeah, so Vortex here, and welcome to my review of the KZ ZES. And two things about this one before I even start is one, it's not technically available when I made this video, and two, I do not know the price, but I presume, as you can see kind of from the packaging, it'd be on more on the affordable side, so it could be anywhere between 25 to 50, but I have no guarantees, and when I do get information I will add in the description. And yeah, as usual, full disclaimer is this is actually sent out to me by KZ, so thank you very much. I was not paid to do this video, and all thoughts and opinions are my own, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. So like I said in the intro, I'm not sure the price. As you can see kind of from the packaging, it looks like a ZS Pro, but it actually is quite different. I will show you as well. I've been using them, and I've actually graphed them up to this point, so I've cheated a bit. Anyway, so it uses a 12mm dynamic driver, which is the biggest, as far as I'm aware, the biggest I've ever used, and it's a new driver, so it's quite curious. And it uses a magnetostatic driver. Build a hi-fi dark horse, so remember that. And yeah, mine's the silver one, but it uses slight bit of green on it. I have not seen a gun black one, and mine's no mic. So it says specs, so it's 3.5 as usual. It's the usual C-type 0.75. Does 20 Hz to 40 kHz, which is a lot. It pins 32 ohm, 113 decibels dust sensitivity. I didn't really find it difficult to power. Now obviously I've been using these, so I've already took them out. So don't forget the original intention of using earphones, obviously, because it's all about the music, so don't forget. Before we get to that, this is what they look like. Obviously I've been using them. So again, like the image on the box looks like the ZS Pro, but this is all metal. You can as you can see, it's slightly transparent. You can see that in there. It's hard to really clearly see what it is, but that's what they look like in the flesh. That's it from the bottom. So it doesn't have any like the fin or anything like that. So that's what it looks like on there. Does use a thin nozzle. Doesn't really seem to impact its performance, and uses some kind of like starline tip. So yeah, that's that. Tips probably be the usual small and large in there. The usual paperwork, which is there. Let's see what kind of cable, because they do tend to use better cables these days. But let's see what we get. So that's the one. I've seen this one a few times. So that's the cable there. I prefer a right angle connector, but yeah, I won't. I'll use that another time, but that's the one you get. So I've seen it around a few times. It does the job. These are much better than what KZ used to include. So yeah, so here's another look at them. Obviously that one's left. Kind of cool. I'm quite interested what the other one looks like. And yes, so obviously I've been using these, so I'm going to go straight to the review section now. And yeah, you'll see the graph and all the fun stuff. So yeah, let's go. So yeah, so finally on to the review of the KZ ZES, as you can see here. So let's get straight on to comfort and how they fit. I thought it was pretty good. They don't have that fin like I've shown you before, because that affects a few people. Luckily on one it doesn't really affect. I think the fin helps keep it more secure. Obviously it's very flat. They're not that light, but they're not that heavy either. I don't know the exact weight from memory, but I had no issues with how they fit. And the actual comfort was actually good. So obviously that's very important. So let's get on to like powering them and the sensitivity. Again, I had no issues at all. Obviously it does help if you can pair it with something decent. Most phones should be okay if you've got a 3.5 jack, but Again, I had no issues at all with the actual with pairing them all. So let's go into imaging. I thought the imaging was actually pretty good. I think it helps with that magneto driver. May help with it, I'm not quite sure, but I was happy with its actual imaging performance. Stage was okay. I didn't think it was really massive, but again, it doesn't feel closed in like some do. So you have to bear that in mind. But I'm quite happy with them. So up to this point, I'm very happy with them. So let's talk about the tonalities, the timbre. They don't always sound natural. Again, you can't do because it's a hybrid. I love just seeing what this DD was like without it, just pure DD. But obviously this is a combined unit, you know, with the two drivers. It was okay. Obviously, I'd prefer to be a little bit more realistic sounding. But again, I said I don't know the price of these, but I was quite happy with them. And let's talk about some micro details. I thought was good. Again, I think the magneto driver helps in that regard. Again, like I said, I like to see what the DD's like on its own. But again, if it's a 12mm, so it's a big boy, I like to see what it's like. Maybe they will release it without one, who knows? But yeah, so let's get on to so let's talk about the main bit of sound. So like now, I'm going to overlay the graph. So quite a few differences. So let's talk about bass first. These are more sub-bass focused. From memory, these have a little bit less bass than the CCA CRA. They're a little bit more bassy than this, but I thought the actual DD they used in this is good. It hits hard enough. They're not bass monsters, it's more the lower part of the bass, the sub-bass gets more of a focus. Like other KZs normally have a bit more mid-bass hit. This has a bit, but that's not its focus. I like it like that. I like the CRA's bass as well. I prefer it's the shelves more defined, it's more towards the bottom, and I like that. But obviously this depends on your library. Some libraries prefer more of a mid-bass hit, the slam, shall we say. These have less of that. Obviously they have a bit of it, as you can see in the graph, it's more towards the bottom. I like that. I like the bass. I was perfectly happy with it. Mids, I thought was actually very good. So at the lower part, you can see there's a little bit of bleed. I don't mind that because it helps stops it sounding thin. Is probably the best way to describe it. Detail mids, again, I was quite happy with it. Upper mids are slightly elevated over the CRA. I have to check this, but they don't sound shouty or anything like that. I was happy. I was perfectly happy with it. I don't like too much there because that's my region. I really notice it. But vocals do sound good. They don't ultimately sound natural, but they sound very close to that. Obviously, you want a single dynamic driver for pure natural kind of sound if you can. So that's quite fine. Lower treble. This is a bit different. The CRA has a more of an elevation here. Obviously, you compare the graphs after you finish watching the video. Now, this is like the presence region, and I found it quite easy to listen to. So what's normally there, it can be quite shouty. On these, it wasn't. So obviously, it depends what instruments and any higher pitch vocals that sit there. But I thought it was fine. Say that's the bit I'm sensitive to, like kind of the upper mids, the lower part of the treble is my kind of spot. I like that it's a bit cooler there, it's a bit more calm. That suits me perfectly. But again, it so depends on what your library is. If you know how to read graphs and you know what suits your library, it's best to check that. But now I think this is where the magneto may kick in, is the treble doesn't really roll off. After 10 it does. But the treble region, as you can see, like from 4K up to about 8 and 9 is still elevated. So I think it might be the issue that people had with the CRAs around the 5K, there's a peak there. This may have the same for you. Personally for me, I was fine with it. But it depends if you're not, so you have to bear that in mind. So you may need to use a bit of EQ to smooth a little bit of the treble off. Again, I was okay with it. You may not be. Obviously, your mileage may vary, is probably the best way to describe it. then after 10k rolls off, as you can see. Obviously the coupler is only reliable up to 10k, so bear that in mind, but the CRA on the same graph does have more treble past that. This doesn't, so that's that. But yeah, I was quite happy with them. They may be a little bit fatiguing for you in that part of the treble. I was okay with them. I do like this set. I don't know if it beats the CRA. I'll have to compare them directly. I'll do a future video on that. But this is the best, I think, the best kind of incarnation of the magneto driver, really. I think this is the best I've done, because I've done KZ ZES, the CCA NRA, which are basically clones of each other. Then there's the ZEX Pro, which is the clinical version, and then there's this, so it's the fourth one as of this video, and I think they've done a nice job of it. And the styling, it's very unique. I think it looks great, as you can see. And yeah, so I'd only keep waffling on, but on the whole, I do like what I've done. Some people may not like the lower treble dip. I don't mind it. I like that. And then some people might not like the actual the 5k peak and just past that still up there. Some people prefer that to roll off. Again, that's up to you. But on the whole, again, I don't know what the price is, which is a pity really, but I think they've done a good job. Really, I like how they kind of listened to what people moaned about with KZ, which was too much bass bleed. They fixed it with this. Shouty vocals and like shouty lower treble. They fixed it like with this. And then people moan that the treble rolled off and this one doesn't. So oh yeah, so I think that's probably going to be, but I do like what I've done. I do plan to do a video against the KZ ZES, the ZEX Pro, the CRN, the clinical one, the CCA, CRA, and then these, because that's all the new releases, and obviously they're quite big sellers, they're being quite popular. And yes, so as usual, if you want to know anything in particular, which you probably will, because they say you can't get these yet, just let me know in the comments as usual. And yeah, so thanks for watching and take care.